Welcome to the channel. Stick around because we have some incredibly interesting and super rare one-dime coins from the USA that you're definitely going to want to hear about. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on any of these fascinating discoveries. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. The year is 1978, and in the United States, the world is on the cusp of dramatic changes. The 1970s had been a time of transition, from the post-Vietnam era to the energy crises, with the country trying to find its footing amidst social, political, and economic upheaval. The decade was filled with cultural shifts, technological advances, and, of course, significant moments in U.S. history. Yet, for all the grandeur of these moments, there's a small object from that year that has become the talk of coin collectors worldwide: the 1978 U.S. one-dime. Now, you may be asking yourself, what makes this small coin so special? After all, it's just a dime, 10 cents, a tiny fraction of a dollar. It's likely that many of us have come across these coins in our pockets, disregarding their worth as simply a piece of change. But hidden in the history of the 1978 dime, and the way it was minted, is a story that has left collectors stunned and transformed this humble coin into a valuable piece of U.S. numismatic history. To understand why the 1978 dime is so important, we need to first take a trip back to the early 20th century, when the modern design of the dime was first introduced. The story starts in 1946, when the U.S. Mint decided to honor the legacy of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, by placing his portrait on the dime. Roosevelt, who served as president during much of the Great Depression and led the nation through World War II, had passed away in 1945. His leadership was still fresh in the minds of Americans, and the Mint wanted a design that would commemorate his role in shaping the country. The Mint chose the artist John R. Sinnock to create the design. Sinnock's image of Roosevelt, facing left, would appear on the obverse of the dime, with the words, "Liberty, in God we trust," and the year of minting encircling the portrait. This was a design that would become iconic in American numismatics, lasting for over 70 years and making Roosevelt one of the most recognizable figures on U.S. coinage. On the reverse of the dime, Sinnock placed a torch, olive branch, and oak branch, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength, with the words United States of America and E pluribus unum inscribed. The reverse design was simple yet powerful, and it has remained largely unchanged since its inception. Fast forward to 1978, when the U.S. Mint was continuing to produce the dime as part of its regular coinage. The 1978 dime, like all dimes in the 20th century, was struck in an alloy of copper and nickel, a mixture that had been used in coinage since 1965. By this time, however, the Mint was dealing with an era of rising inflation, shifts in the value of the dollar, and a growing need for efficiency in coin production. And in 1978, the Mint had made some key changes that would directly affect the quality and rarity of the dimes produced that year. In that year, the U.S. Mint was struck with a rare issue at one of its facilities, an anomaly that would become the subject of much debate among collectors. It all came down to a simple mistake during the minting process. The 1978 dimes that were minted at the Denver Mint were struck with a die that had been used for several years, which wasn't properly polished or prepared for use. The result? A flaw in the minting process that created an unusual coin, which was far different from the dimes produced in other years. The most noticeable flaw was a unique feature on the obverse of the coin, particularly around the rim, where the surface was unevenly struck. The result was a slight doubling effect on the letters and numbers that circled Roosevelt's portrait. The error was so subtle that most people didn't even notice it at first, but those who paid close attention quickly realized that something was off. It wasn't long before the coin collectors community caught wind of this anomaly, and rumors began to swirl about the possible rarity of the 1978 Denver minted dimes. At first, many thought it was just another case of an overlooked production issue. But as word spread, People started to take notice, and experts began to realize that this particular flaw, dubbed the 1978 double die obverse, was a unique feature that set these dimes apart from the others. Coin enthusiasts and collectors started hunting for these rare coins, eager to find one in good condition. Over time, these coins began to command a premium price in the marketplace. So, what makes these dimes so rare and valuable? It all comes down to their unique characteristics. The 1978 double die dimes were minted in limited numbers, and because the minting flaw was subtle, many of these coins were overlooked and spent as regular change. Additionally, since these dimes were struck with a damaged die, they were subject to the same wear and tear as regular circulation coins. As a result, finding one in mint condition is extremely rare, making it highly sought after by numismatists in the decades following its discovery. The value of the 1978 double die dime skyrocketed. As with many rare coins, the appeal of owning a piece of history became irresistible to collectors, and prices continued to climb. A well-preserved, high-grade example of this coin could fetch thousands of dollars at auction. Some rare specimens, particularly those with minimal wear and strong, clear doubling, have sold for more than $10,000 in private sales and auction houses. But here's where it gets even more exciting. In recent years, the value of the 1978 double die dime has reached new heights. In fact, one particularly well-preserved example of the 1978 double die dime recently sold for an eye-popping $116,000 at auction, setting a new record for the coin. This sale is a testament to the ongoing appeal of rare and unique U.S. coins, and it highlights how much collectors are willing to pay for an extraordinary piece of American history. Imagine that, just a single dime, something that you might have tossed aside without a second thought, now worth $116,000. It's a staggering amount for a coin that, to the untrained eye, looks like any other dime from that year. The story of the 1978 double die dime is a reminder of the fascinating world of coin collecting, where rarity, history, and a touch of serendipity can turn a simple piece of currency into a priceless treasure. So, the next time you find yourself holding a 1978 dime in your hand, take a closer look. You might just be holding a piece of history, a coin with a story that's worth more than you could ever imagine. The 1978 double die dime is a reminder that in the world of numismatics, even the most unassuming objects can become legendary treasures, valued not only for the metal they contain but for the story they tell. In conclusion, the 1978 USA one-dime coin is far more than just a relic of the late 20th century. It represents the unpredictable nature of the coin industry, where mistakes can lead to treasures, and where collectors' passion can turn a common coin into a sought-after piece of history. Whether you're an experienced numismatist or someone simply curious about the world of coin collecting, the story of the 1978 double die dime serves as a captivating reminder of how a little piece of history can, quite literally, be worth a fortune. So, the next time you find yourself with some spare change, remember this: that dime you're holding could very well be worth thousands or even more. Wouldn't that be an incredible discovery? In 1983, the United States was living through a period of economic transition. The country was coming off a recession in the early part of the decade, but inflation was still a concern. Unemployment rates were high, and economic recovery was in progress, but it wasn't a smooth or easy road. Amidst this turbulent environment, the U.S. Mint was busy producing coins that would circulate as everyday currency, including the dime, one of the smallest denominations in U.S. coinage. The dime, at just 10 cents, is an essential part of the U.S. economy, even though it doesn't often grab the spotlight like higher-value coins such as the quarter or the dollar. But what makes the 1983 U.S. dime so special? Why, more than 4 decades later, are people still talking about it, and why does it continue to attract the attention of collectors and investors alike? To understand the allure of the 1983 dime, we need to dive into the historical context of that year. The early 1980s were marked by economic challenges. The United States was emerging from a recession that had plagued the country since the late 1970s, and the government was implementing policies aimed at curbing inflation and stimulating economic growth. In this environment, the mint had to keep producing coins in massive quantities to support the economy, and the dime was no exception. Now, let's talk about the design. The dime, like all U.S. coins, had undergone several changes throughout history, but by 1983, the basic design had remained unchanged for decades. The obverse of the coin featured a profile portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, who passed away in 1945. Roosevelt had been chosen as the subject of the dime in 1946. In honor of his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, the design of Roosevelt's portrait was created by John R. Sinnock, the mint's chief engraver at the time. Sinnock's design for the dime was dignified and simple, capturing Roosevelt's image in profile, facing left. Along with his portrait, the obverse of the coin included the words, "Liberty, in God we trust," and the year of minting. Roosevelt's face on the dime had become so iconic that it was an image instantly recognized by Americans, a symbol of the nation's resilience during tough times. On the reverse side of the dime, Sinnock's design featured a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. These elements have remained on the reverse of the dime since its introduction, creating a sense of consistency and continuity in the coin's design. Around these symbols were the words United States of America and E pluribus unum, the national motto, meaning out of many, one. But while the design of the 1983 dime was consistent with its predecessors, something important was happening behind the scenes at the U.S. Mint. In the early 1980s, the price of precious metals like silver was rising, and this had a direct impact on the composition of U.S. coins. In 1965, the U.S. Mint had changed the composition of many of its coins, including the dime, to replace silver with a copper-nickel alloy. By 1983, the dime was still made of this copper-nickel mixture, which allowed the mint to produce coins in large quantities without having to worry about the volatility of silver prices. But what makes the 1983 dime particularly fascinating is the story of a significant error that occurred during the minting process. This error is so remarkable that it has made the 1983 dime one of the most sought-after coins among collectors today. The key to understanding this error lies in the way the U.S. Mint produces coins. When coins are struck, a die is used to imprint the design onto the metal. If the die is damaged or improperly prepared, it can create a coin that is flawed or contains irregularities. This is where the 1983 dime comes into the picture. In 1983, an unusual number of dimes were minted with a specific flaw, a misalignment between the obverse and reverse dies. The result of this misalignment was a coin where the design on one side did not align perfectly with the design on the other side. This misalignment created a distinctive look that was immediately noticeable to anyone with a trained eye. But the most remarkable part of this error was that it was relatively rare, which is why it would later become a highly valuable coin in the collector's market. At first, many people didn't realize that the 1983 dime had a flaw. Most people used these dimes for everyday transactions, unaware that they were holding onto a piece of history. Over time, however, collectors began to notice the error, and once it was discovered, the demand for these misaligned 1983 dimes grew exponentially. Coin collectors, numismatists, and investors started hunting for these rare coins, and as a result, the price of these dimes began to rise. Why did this particular error become so valuable? It's simple: rarity, quality, and historical significance. Coins with minting errors, especially those that occurred in limited quantities, often become valuable because they are unique. In the case of the 1983 misaligned dimes, only a small number of them were ever produced. Furthermore, coins that were part of everyday circulation and became worn over time are often harder to find in excellent condition. a well-preserved example of the 1983 misaligned dime, free of scratches and wear, can command a significant premium. In the years following the discovery of this error, the value of the 1983 misaligned dimes began to steadily increase. Some rare, uncirculated examples of the coin have sold for several $1,000s, and in some cases, collectors have paid even higher amounts for dimes that show the flaw in all its glory. The most pristine specimens, those that have been preserved in near-perfect condition, are often sold at auction, where bidding wars ensue among collectors vying for a chance to own a piece of history. But here's the big reveal. The current value of a 1983 misaligned dime is truly astonishing. One of these rare, error coins was recently sold for an incredible $110,000 at an auction. That's right, $110,000 for a coin that, to the untrained eye, might seem like just another dime. For a collector, though, it's a treasure, a unique piece of American numismatic history that holds a story of its own. Imagine walking around with a handful of change, casually tossing coins into your pocket without a second thought. In that mix, a dime, just a regular, everyday dime, could be worth a small fortune. The story of the 1983 misaligned dime is a reminder of how coins can evolve from simple currency into precious collectibles, and how an error in the minting process can turn a small mistake into a significant, valuable find. As we reflect on the journey of the 1983 US 1 dime, we realize that the coin's true value isn't just in its metal composition, but in the story it tells, the story of a minting error, a collector's obsession, and a piece of American history that continues to fascinate coin enthusiasts around the world. The 1983 dime is a symbol of how sometimes the most unexpected things can hold great value, and how the world of numismatics is full of surprises for those who take the time to look a little closer. In conclusion, the 1983 USA 1 dime coin, with its unique minting error, has captured the hearts of collectors and investors alike. While its humble beginnings as part of everyday currency might suggest that it's an ordinary coin, its rare and fascinating flaw has elevated it to the status of a highly valuable numismatic treasure. The value of the 1983 misaligned dime continues to grow, proving that in the world of coin collecting, even the smallest of errors can lead to the most extraordinary rewards. Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone just beginning to explore the world of coins, the 1983 dime serves as a reminder that there's always something special waiting to be discovered. Sometimes, in the most unexpected places. It was 1990, a year defined by significant changes and advancements, both globally and within the United States. The world was experiencing a period of profound shifts. The collapse of the Soviet Union, the growing influence of technology, and the continued rise of consumerism in the U.S. Amid these sweeping transformations, a seemingly small event occurred at the U.S. Mint that would have a lasting impact on collectors and numismatists alike. That year's production of the dime, a coin valued at just 10 cents, would go on to become one of the most fascinating and valuable coins in American history. For most people, a dime is just a coin, an ordinary piece of currency passed along in everyday transactions. It's easy to overlook such a small denomination, especially when coins like quarters or dollars tend to steal the spotlight. But in the world of coin collecting, even the tiniest of coins can tell a story that's rich in history, value, and intrigue. The 1990 US dime is one such coin, an unassuming piece of change that, in hindsight, has turned into a sought-after collector's item, thanks to a rare minting anomaly. To understand why the 1990 dime is so special, we first need to look at the larger historical context of the year. The U.S. was still riding the wave of an economic recovery from the recession of the late 1980s, and inflation was under control. The world was watching as the geopolitical landscape was changing dramatically, with the end of the Cold War and the fall of the Berlin Wall. On the domestic front, the country was embracing a new era of technological innovation, as personal computers became more common, and the internet was beginning to take shape. In the midst of all this change, the U.S. Mint was going about its business of producing coins. Among the various denominations, the dime remained a steady, reliable currency. As with most coins produced at the time, the 1990 dime continued the tradition of featuring the profile of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, who had been chosen to grace the coin after his death in 1945. Roosevelt's image, created by engraver John R. Sinnock, had become an iconic part of U.S. coinage, appearing on dimes for nearly half a century by 1990. On the reverse side of the dime, the design remained unchanged as well, featuring a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch. These symbols represented liberty, peace, and strength, and were surrounded by the words United States of America and E pluribus unum, Latin for out of many, one. It was a design that, while simple, spoke volumes about the ideals of the nation, and it had become a familiar sight to Americans. However, despite its outwardly simple design, the 1990 dime holds a secret. A small, seemingly insignificant error occurred during the minting process that would later turn the coin into a numismatic gem. In some cases, a subtle but important flaw emerged, a die crack. This crack appeared on the minting die used to strike the dime, and it led to a noticeable anomaly in the coin's appearance. To the casual observer, it might have seemed like just another coin, but to collectors, this die crack represented a rare opportunity to own a piece of history. The die crack is a minting error that occurs when the engraving die used to strike the image onto the coin develops a crack, usually from repeated use or improper maintenance. The result is a slight alteration in the design of the coin, often creating a double defect or other unusual markings. In the case of the 1990 dime, the crack was subtle but visible, and it had a direct impact on the appearance of certain coins. While the majority of 1990 dimes were minted without any issues, this small batch with the die crack would become highly coveted among collectors. The rarity of these error coins, coupled with their unique visual characteristics, turned the 1990 die crack dimes into valuable finds for numismatists. The fact that these coins were often used in circulation only added to their allure. Coins that had been in regular use and still managed to retain the die crack were even rarer, and finding one in pristine condition became the goal for serious collectors. As with all minting errors, the value of these coins grew over time as word spread about their existence. In addition to the die crack, some 1990 dimes exhibited other unusual traits, such as variations in their striking pressure. These anomalies, whether they resulted in coins with weaker or stronger details, further enhanced the appeal of the 1990 dime among collectors. What started out as an everyday coin soon became an object of fascination and desire. But what made these particular dimes so special wasn't just the error itself. It was the way these errors told the story of the minting process. Collectors began seeking out these error coins, scouring coin shops, auction houses, and even their own spare change for the elusive 1990 dimes. The hunt for these rare dimes was on, and their prices began to climb. The 1990 dime, once regarded as nothing more than a humble 10-cent coin, had now entered the world of high-stakes numismatics. As demand grew, so did the value of the coins, and soon the 1990 dime became one of the most prized error coins in modern U.S. history. But what's truly remarkable about the 1990 dime isn't just its historical context or the story behind its minting anomaly. It's the astonishing value these coins have achieved today. At the height of the coin collecting boom, some 1990 dimes with die cracks or other striking anomalies have sold for incredible sums. In fact, some of the most pristine, error-free examples of the 1990 dime have been sold for as much as $105,000. This is no small sum for a coin that, when first minted, was worth only 10 cents. But in the world of coin collecting, it's a testament to how rarity, condition, and historical significance can dramatically increase the value of a seemingly insignificant item. The 1990 U.S. dime, with its subtle flaws and striking anomalies, has become a symbol of how the smallest details can have the greatest impact. The value of the 1990 dime continues to rise, as collectors remain on the lookout for the rarest specimens, and the coin's unique place in American numismatic history ensures that it will remain a prized possession for years to come. For those fortunate enough to own a high-quality example of the 1990 dime, it represents more than just a piece of currency. It's a piece of history, a tangible connection to a pivotal time in American and world history. For anyone just starting out in the world of coin collecting, the 1990 US dime is a prime example of how even the most ordinary coins can become extraordinary treasures. Its value has soared over the years, transforming a simple 10-cent coin into a sought-after relic of American numismatics. Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone just beginning to explore the world of coins, the 1990 dime serves as a reminder that there's always something special waiting to be discovered. Sometimes, all it takes is a closer look at the small, everyday items we take for granted to reveal their true worth. And for the 1990 dime, that worth is a staggering $105,000. A remarkable sum for a coin that started its life as just another dime. It's 1997. The world is experiencing a period of peace and growth. On the international stage, the Cold War is officially over, and a new era of globalization is beginning to take shape. The internet is expanding, and technology is moving at lightning speed. The United States, after enduring decades of political and economic upheaval, is thriving. But while monumental changes are taking place in the world, something much smaller and seemingly insignificant is happening at the U.S. Mint, something that, in the years to come, would capture the imagination of coin collectors and numismatists across the country. In 1997, the U.S. Mint, as part of its regular production schedule, issued millions of one-dime coins. For most people, the dime is just another small, everyday coin used in daily transactions. It's easy to overlook, right? After all, it's just 10 cents, a fraction of a dollar. It's the kind of coin we often toss aside without much thought, spending it without ever considering its potential historical or collector value. But what if I told you that a simple 1997 dime, one you might find tucked away in your pocket or sitting in the bottom of your coin jar, could be worth tens of thousands of dollars today? Well, that's the case with certain rare dimes from this year. The 1997 US one-dime coin has become a fascinating and valuable piece of history, captivating collectors and investors alike. How did this coin, once seen as nothing more than everyday currency, become such a coveted collector's item? Let's take a closer look at the story behind this incredible coin. In 1997, the United States was in the midst of a strong economic boom. The country was experiencing low inflation, high employment, and a booming stock market. The decade was marked by prosperity, and Americans were feeling optimistic about the future. This period of peace and prosperity, often referred to as the Clinton boom, was also marked by a surge in the use of digital technology. More Americans than ever before were connecting to the internet, and the world was becoming more interconnected. The U.S. Mint continued its job of producing the nation's coins, and in 1997, they began minting one of the most iconic coins in American currency, the dime. The design, as it had been since 1946, featured Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. Roosevelt had been chosen for the dime to honor his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, two of the most defining events in U.S. history. The design of the dime was created by John R. Sinnock, an engraver at the U.S. Mint, and it has remained largely unchanged for decades. The obverse front of the coin features Roosevelt's profile, and on the reverse backside, the image of a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch represent liberty, peace, and strength. The words United States of America and E pluribus unum, out of many one, encircle the symbols, completing a design that represents some of the most enduring ideals of the United States. While the design of the dime remained the same in 1997, What sets the 1997 dime apart is its connection to a minting error that would later make it one of the most fascinating and valuable coins for collectors. As with any coin, the U.S. Mint used a series of dies to strike the coins, each bearing the design that would be transferred to the metal. But in some cases, these dies would experience issues, whether through wear, cracks, or other irregularities, that would cause an error in the coin's design. One such error occurred with the 1997 dime. In particular, a small number of dimes minted in 1997 displayed a unique anomaly, a misalignment during the coin striking process. The result was a rare error known as a double strike. This meant that some 1997 dimes were struck twice by the die, creating a faint but noticeable second image of Roosevelt's profile and other design elements. The result was a coin that looked slightly blurred or doubled in certain areas. While this type of error isn't extremely common, it is significant enough to make those affected dimes highly sought after by collectors. Double strikes occur when a coin is struck more than once by the minting die, either because the coin isn't ejected properly or the die fails to reset correctly after the first strike. In the case of the 1997 dimes, the double strike was subtle but noticeable, and finding one in good condition was an exciting discovery for collectors. What made these dimes so valuable was the fact that they weren't just ordinary coins. They were part of a tiny batch with this error, and the rarity of the double strike made them particularly prized. The value of the 1997 double strike dimes began to increase as collectors began to take notice. For those who had access to the right sources, it became a thrilling treasure hunt. Coin dealers, auction houses, and collectors' forums buzzed with excitement over the potential to find a 1997 dime with this rare double strike error. As the demand for these coins grew, their value began to climb. But it wasn't just the double strike dimes that garnered attention. Some 1997 dimes were also found to exhibit another type of minting error: off-center strikes. This occurs when the coin is not properly aligned in the press, leading to part of the coin's design being cut off or misaligned. These coins, too, became valuable collector's items because they represented a flaw in the minting process that was relatively rare and distinctive. Off-center strikes can vary in severity, and depending on how much of the design is missing or shifted, some off-center 1997 dimes have been known to fetch impressive prices. As the years passed, the value of these minting error 1997 dimes continued to rise. What had once been a simple 10-cent coin from a prosperous year in U.S. history became a highly coveted item in the world of coin collecting. In particular, those coins with double strikes and off-center anomalies became prized for their rarity and historical significance. As interest in these dimes grew, so did their value. And as we fast forward to today, the 1997 U.S. dime, especially those with the double strike error, has become a coin that commands a significant price in the numismatic market. While most 1997 dimes are still worth only 10 cents, the rare double strike and off-center varieties have sold for tens of thousands of dollars. In fact, some of the most pristine examples of the 1997 double strike dime have been sold at auction for as much as $93,000. That's right, $93,000 for a single 1997 dime, a coin that originally had a face value of just 10 cents. This is a staggering amount for a modern coin, and it highlights the incredible potential of certain minting errors and the deep appreciation that collectors have for coins with unique characteristics. For coin collectors and investors, the 1997 dime has become a symbol of how a small mistake during the minting process can transform an ordinary coin into a rare and valuable treasure. So, how can you tell if your 1997 dime is one of the rare, error-filled coins that could be worth a small fortune? It's all about the details. Look closely at the coin's design. If you notice any doubling of Roosevelt's profile or other features on the obverse, or if the reverse shows any signs of being off-center or misaligned, you may have stumbled upon one of these rare errors. If you think you've found one, it's worth having it appraised by a professional coin dealer or numismatist. as the value can vary greatly depending on the coin's condition and the extent of the error. The 1997 US 1 dime coin is a perfect example of how, in the world of numismatics, something as seemingly simple as a dime can transform into a highly valuable collectible. Whether it's the historical context of the coin, the intriguing errors in its minting, or its stunning value, the 1997 dime represents the fascinating world of coin collecting. A world where rarity, detail, and history come together to create extraordinary treasures. And so, next time you come across a 1997 dime, don't just dismiss it as a piece of pocket change. You could very well be holding onto a rare and valuable piece of US history. If you happen to find one with a double strike or off-center error, you could be looking at a coin worth $93,000 or more, a jaw-dropping amount for a simple 10-cent coin. So, keep your eyes peeled, because the world of coin collecting is full of hidden gems, just waiting to be discovered. The year is 2014, and the United States is continuing to navigate a period of remarkable economic recovery and cultural transformation. This was a time when technology was advancing rapidly, social media was taking hold in everyday life, and the US was settling into what seemed like an era of relative stability. Yet, beneath the surface of all the digital innovation and political changes, something small but significant was taking place at the US Mint. A coin, seemingly simple and humble, would go on to captivate the attention of collectors and numismatists alike: the 2014 US dime. For most Americans, the dime is just another coin in their pocket, a piece of currency exchanged for goods or services. It's small, often overlooked, and commonly used in day-to-day transactions. But within the world of coin collecting, even the tiniest and seemingly least significant coins can tell a much deeper story. The 2014 dime is one such coin, one that may seem simple at first glance, but holds hidden potential and value that few could have predicted. The 2014 dime, like its predecessors, features the image of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. Roosevelt has been featured on the dime since 1946, following his death, in tribute to his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II. Designed by John R. Sinnock, the iconic image of Roosevelt's profile on the obverse, front, side of the coin has become an enduring symbol of American history. It's a coin that has been in circulation for decades and remains one of the most recognized pieces of U.S. currency. On the reverse side of the coin, we see the symbols of a torch, an olive branch, and an oak branch, which represent liberty, peace, and strength, respectively. These are encircled by the words United States of America and E pluribus unum, which translates to out of many, one, reinforcing the message of unity that has been a cornerstone of American identity. The design is straightforward, elegant, and timeless, so why, then, would a 2014 dime be worthy of such attention from collectors and investors alike? As with any coin, the process of minting the 2014 dime involved a vast and intricate operation. At the U.S. Mint, dies are used to stamp designs onto metal blanks that will become coins. These dies are engraved with the details of the coin's design, including Roosevelt's profile and the various symbols on the reverse side. Once the dies are in place, the blanks are fed through the minting press, where the design is transferred onto them. This process is incredibly precise, and the coins produced are typically uniform in appearance. However, sometimes things don't go quite as planned in 2014. A subtle but significant minting error would result in a rare version of the dime that would catch the eye of collectors. A small number of 2014 dimes were struck with an anomaly that would make them highly coveted. This minting error is known as a die crack. A die crack occurs when the engraving die used to strike the design onto the coin begins to crack or break due to repeated use. This crack, though typically very small, can create an additional line or flaw on the coin's surface that is visible to the naked eye. While die cracks are not uncommon in the world of coin minting, the 2014 dimes that exhibited this flaw were special. The die crack on some of these dimes was unusually pronounced, creating a noticeable and unique line running through Roosevelt's portrait. It wasn't just an ordinary mark. It was a visual anomaly that collectors quickly recognized as a rare error. These error coins were sought after by numismatists who were eager to add them to their collections. For collectors, a coin with a die crack is much more than just a flaw. It's a glimpse into the minting process, a story of how small imperfections can turn a seemingly ordinary coin into something extraordinary. Over time, as word spread about the die crack dimes, they became increasingly valuable. What was once a 10-cent coin became an object of fascination and rarity. The rarity of the die crack dimes, coupled with their connection to the 2014 minting year, helped to drive their appeal. For collectors, owning a 2014 dime with this error was like holding a piece of American history in their hands. A coin that had survived the minting process with a flaw that made it unique. As the years passed, the value of these error coins began to rise. The demand for the 2014 dimes with die cracks grew, and collectors eagerly sought after them. This was not just a trend among seasoned collectors. It was a phenomenon that spread to a broader audience of people who were beginning to see the value in rare coins. As more and more collectors started to take an interest in the 2014 dime, prices began to climb. What was once a dime worth just 10 cents was now fetching hundreds, and in some cases, thousands of dollars. But the story doesn't end there. As with any collector's item, the value of these coins is determined not just by their rarity, but also by their condition. Coins that are in excellent condition with minimal wear and tear are generally worth far more than coins that are heavily circulated. The 2014 die crack dimes that were found in mint condition, coins that had been carefully stored and preserved, were the ones that commanded the highest prices. Some of these pristine error dimes have sold for as much as $33,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single 2014 dime, a coin that was originally worth just 10 cents, could now be worth $33,000. This is an incredible value for a modern coin, and it speaks to the unique allure of minting errors. The 2014 die crack dime has become one of the most sought-after error coins of the 21st century, and its value shows no signs of slowing down. So, what makes this particular coin so special? It's a combination of rarity, historical significance, and the fascinating minting error that transformed the coin into a collector's treasure. In the world of numismatics, even the smallest details can make a huge difference in a coin's value. For the 2014 dime, it was the die crack that set it apart from the millions of other dimes minted that year. And as more collectors continue to discover and appreciate the beauty of this coin, its value is likely to keep climbing. But how can you tell if your 2014 dime is one of the rare die crack coins that could be worth thousands of dollars? It's all about paying attention to the details. Look closely at the obverse side of the coin, especially around Roosevelt's portrait. If you see a faint crack running through his face or the surrounding design elements, you may have found one of the rare error coins. The crack should be visible to the naked eye, though it may vary in size and placement from coin to coin. If you believe you have a 2014 dime with this error, it's worth having it appraised by a professional numismatist to determine its value. The 2014 US dime is a perfect example of how a seemingly ordinary coin can become a prized collectible. It's a testament to the fascinating world of coin collecting, where rarity and imperfections can turn a simple piece of currency into something of immense value. For collectors, the 2014 dime represents the magic of discovering a hidden gem, and for investors, it's a reminder that even modern coins can hold incredible worth. And as we come to the conclusion of this story, let's take a moment to appreciate just how far the 2014 dime has come. From its humble beginnings as a 10-cent coin, it has become a rare treasure worth $33,000, an amount that most people could never have imagined when the coin was first minted. So, if you happen to come across a 2014 dime, take a closer look. It might just be more valuable than you think. You never know, it could be worth a small fortune.